So the question would be, is it possible to have a resonant loop antenna? Is it possible to feed that antenna with ladder line and not need a tuner? Is it possible to feed that antenna with coax directly and not need a tuner? Well, that's what I'm kind of trying to figure out here. So, for quite a long time, I've been running an unknown length of wire at a low height of about 20 to 30 feet up in a circle around the house here. And my results have always been about like this with this particular length of wire. Usually really, really low. If I lengthen the wire, it obviously goes down there and I get more of 40 meters. If I put it in the voice part of 80 meters and 75 meters, it doesn't want to work good in 40. But I don't really operate on 40 that much anymore nowadays. I quit doing the Triple H net when they started having all these new people on there that were cheating and using web SDRs to make contacts and get their Worked All States awards. So that was about the extent of my 40 meters activity. I don't talk on 40. There's lots of people on there. I'll listen on there, but I don't know any of them. They're all much older than me, and I don't have anything in common with them, so I just don't really get on there. I used to do the Jefferson Noon net, and the Albuquerque Boat Anchor net, but I didn't really find like there was a good round table or anything on there. So, and 40 meters doesn't work for local really. So 40 meters isn't really particularly important, especially if you have another antenna to cover that. So that's basically what I kind of decided. I'm like, you know what? So right here, this would have been really low in the band. I don't know why this radio decides to do this. The squelch just opens, and it's set pretty high. So this is a piece of coax, and it's really short, okay? And when I say really short, it's like less than 20 feet. So inside this pool here is 2 pieces of top rail, okay? And this is just some pieces from a pool, and I welded them together over here. Just kind of stacked them just to add some extra support to the top rail. And then it's just this piece of coax. There's a connector up there. I can actually remove it. And it goes right here. This wire here goes to this post that's kind of in the ground, but not really. It's not like pounded into the ground. And then here's a wire here, and it runs all over the place. It runs around here, through here, and like I don't know. I used to have it like going this direction, but I figured that it was picking up noise from the solar panels. So I think actually like what I did was I took it and I just threw it in my junk pile back here. So yeah, don't mind the mess. So it was from another antenna. I think it was from a 40 meter antenna. So it's probably 30 or 60 feet. I don't know. I don't remember. But this is not very long at all. And then it goes into here, so when I have lightning, I can disconnect it. And that is a lightning arrestor. But I can also go over here, connect to that coax that goes into the house, and use my radio in there instead of in the shop. And then I have the vertical here, and I can hook it or disconnect it. I like to leave it disconnected all the time unless I'm going to specifically use it, because what ends up happening is you would leave it connected, you would switch the loop to the house, you go transmit and not realize you have another radio on the other antenna, and then you're in, if it's a Yaesu, you're going to pop something in the attenuator circuit. So what I found is that really short piece of feed line comes up into here, and that's my antenna switch. So then it just goes to this tuner here, or whatever tuner I've had in the past. I used to have an MFJ 989C, which is really similar to this. But recently, I decided to lengthen the loop, and then it was like resonating really, really low in the band, and then it gave me 40 meters, because I was having a lot of trouble with 40. And I didn't really understand that in order to use the middle of 80 and 40 on the same antenna, that you would have lots of problems. So, mostly when you run power. But, so I did that, and then I thought, well, this is still kind of not where I want it to be. And everybody kept telling me you need to use ladder line, and I'd used it in the past, and I really just don't like it. I never ever saw the difference between the two of them. Like, I never heard the difference, I never noticed the difference, and it wasn't any easier to tune or anything like that. I tried different lengths. So basically, I lengthened the loop. It was resonating in the CW part of the band, and 40 was good. And then I switched to taking that piece over there that I showed you and just shorting out the end of it, and then feeding the other side of the loop with ladder line. And what ended up happening was I smelt something while I was on 80 meters, and basically somehow these straps were kind of close on the thing here, and even though this is not hooked to anything, it just kind of arced near it. My theory is that this little stopper over here is connected to a coil, maybe, and it was just close enough for the RF to jump through that, jump through the strap, and short out at high power, because the air gap was too close, and cause this to heat up and just kind of melt. But I was using this, which I believe is a voltage balance, in this Heath kit. And like I said, it seemed like it worked good until I turned on the amplifier, and I really actually didn't even hear anything funny. I just noticed that the tuner kind of behaved funny, like it had like dead spots in it when I would turn it. It was just really, I thought that it was dirty, and I was kind of surprised when I opened it up and found that. But so after that, I was like, you know what, we'll just undo the ladder line at the other end and reconnect the loop, and we'll hook our feed line back up with coax. And so that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days. And I don't like using a tuner if I don't need to, and I know for a fact that if I shorten the loop, I lose, most of 40, but I can operate on 80 without a tuner. And so I went up today and got on the ladder and lowered some of the fiberglass poles. One of them was already collapsed anyways. Kind of pulled on some of the wire up in the trees to try and snug it up, and they trimmed a bunch off, like 20 feet. And so refed it with coax, and this is where I'm at now. So if we turn this off, we'll be looking at just 3 through 4 megahertz, and it looks pretty good to me. So top of the band, 5 something. I mean, that's totally tunable. So I think the lowest point is 3830. And we're 2 to 1, basically from 3800 to, I don't know, 3900 maybe. 3860s. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see what it looks like. 1 megahertz. There's a dip right there too. I mean, so you can shift these antennas around. I mean, that's the thing. What I'm learning, which is really nice about having the Nano VNA. That's 2.4 megahertz. There's a dip there, but it's not a usable dip really at 10 to 1. 1.4 megahertz. And that's really strange because I hate it when that thing does that. Okay. 1.4. And it's just, I don't know if it's because I'm moving this thing around or if the wind is moving the wire. But you see that it's moving quite a bit. But that's pretty low. But 1.4 isn't usable. So you can actually shorten this thing even more, I guess. And that will move up. I don't know how usable it is, so, but yeah, if you shorten it a little bit more. I found really weird characteristics. But the problem with 160 is that it might look good on here, and then you go to use it, and it's okay with 100 watts, but it doesn't get out very good. And then you go to run power, and it just really does weird stuff. So, we don't know what the capacitance and the reactance is or any of that, you know, with this. Maybe there's a way to do it, but I don't know. So, 3820 is where we're looking good. And then let me go back over here and change the stimulus and the stop frequency. We go, let's go 15 megahertz. Well, we won't get as accurate as a reading anymore, but we'll see. Or 1.8 here. 5 megahertz almost. 7.7. And then 11. And then, you know, let's see. We're 7-1 on 14. I mean, you know, you probably could tune that. So, but the thing is, it's like, these guys argue all day long. You guys heard the discussion that I recorded last night. You know, one of those guys is like, he bought a company. I don't know the guy real well. But he bought a company that sells what's called True Ladder Line. And if you look on their website, everything's pretty expensive. And that's cool. But, you got to remember, he's out there to make money, or any, you know, at least you would think. I mean, maybe he's not, but a $2,000 tuner at the base of your antenna, you know, most of us, we can't afford anything like that. I mean, well, there's guys on here that watch my channel that can, but most of you guys can't. I can't. I mean, I've got to get back to work and get a job. I don't make any money making these videos, you know. And then the most I've ever seen off of YouTube is $100 a month. So, you know, if I'm lucky and I put out a ton of videos, I can buy a handheld for you guys to watch me review. So, anyway, I don't have $2,000, and when somebody that's selling a product is telling me that I need it, you know, I mean, it's kind of like everything else. I'm just sort of skeptical. But other people, you know, they swear by the things, and I've got a KW Matchbox, and, you know, it works. It's probably pretty hard to destroy it, but, you know, let me turn this off, back on. You know, if I don't need a tuner, I don't want one, okay? You know, the less things that I have hooked to my radio, you know, if I don't need an amplifier, I don't want to use it. Why would I want to use an amplifier if I don't need to? You know, that's, you know, I don't care. I want to make contacts. I want to be able to talk to people. I don't want them to have to strain to hear me, so if they can't hardly hear me, I turn on the amplifier. But the thing is, I don't want to run extra stuff I don't need. I don't need, you know, extra stuff in the path. You know, I don't need more complications. So my idea is, you know, like, if I can run this thing without using the tuner, you know, that makes sense to me. And how much power could I possibly be losing from that section of coax I mean, it's probably radiating in here. You know, it's probably radiating, but I mean, the thing is, it's like, what happens when you use this? I mean, you know, it's radiating in there too. So, most of my wire is outside of here. So I don't see why that should be a problem, but apparently, according to the people, that I should be running like, you know, ladder line all the way to here, which would be, you know, 20 feet of ladder line, and I'd have some leftover, you know. So if I ran 20 feet of ladder line to this, and then fed it through the eaves, then I'd have to get up over here, and I'd have to adjust this for the band, and it would be fine, but when we jump on 40, 20, 15, and 10, you know, it would be a little funky probably, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but is it really going to make that much of a difference? You can't bypass this thing, so like that's the thing I don't like about it. There's no bypassing it. If you feed this thing with ladder line, that's what you're stuck. You know, you have to tune it. You know, it's in line. You know, so, and as far as I'm concerned, that antenna is radiating all the way to the back of this damn thing. You know, the balanced ladder line is balanced. Now, also another thing that these guys, you know, are using these mostly for are dipoles, and I'm running a loop. I'm not running a dipole, and they don't act the same. So, if I notice that this like worked really good, then I would want to do that. But I haven't noticed that. That hasn't really, and it's really hard to tune it because the antenna, where I have it sitting right now, is already really close to a match. There's not much for the tuner to try and tune. And so the tuner is really designed to tune stuff that's way the hell off. So I think that's why we end up with this problem, because we're like sitting there looking like that. But I'm going to do some experiments today, and then I've got my feed point set up to where in a different spot, but pretty much opposite, I'm going to be feeding it, and then I'll run this, and I'll try and keep as much of the ladder line out of here as possible. Like right now, I have some in here. And I'm using 400 ohm ladder line with 300 ohm at the final descent. And that kind of causes weird stuff too. But it's all an experiment. And that's the thing, is like, you know, ham radio is about trying new things and, you know, listening to other people's opinions without arguing with them. You know, don't hate somebody just because you don't agree with what they think, you know, be open-minded, you know, that kind of stuff. So, unfortunately, a lot of hams, they just go buy radios and they go buy an antenna and they get on the air and they're like, I'm on a 7300, I'm on an end-fed, and, you know, I don't know anything about it, but how's my signal? Oh, okay, you can hear me, cool. And that's kind of like what the extent of it is, and then they get bored with the hobby. But I find that the people that are always experimenting in the hobby, they don't get bored, you know. So I always try and encourage people, build your own antennas, try your own things, form your own opinions, base your opinions on experience, not stuff that you've read on the internet, you know. So anyway, we will probably be using this later, just for the hell of it, even if I find that like what I'm doing right now works great. I'm gonna get on here and test and try and like make a quick change so that I can do like an A/B comparison to see like are we losing noise. But so we'll catch you guys later. See you in the next video.